Today, we're looking at a channel that is making the single biggest mistake I see new gaming content creators make. I'm a full-time content creator. I've gotten millions of views, made tens of thousands of dollars from YouTube. And today, no BS, no fluff. I'm going to tell you exactly how we can turn this channel around and take it from struggling to winning by doing a complete audit of the channel. I'll look at everything from niche and branding to video performance and more. So let's jump right into it. Today, we're looking at Phoenix Gaming. They have 28 videos and 47 subscribers. We'll start with their niche, and their niche is Let's Plays, and right now specifically Skyrim. Unfortunately, I'm here to say that this will never work. I don't say that often about a channel, but Let's Plays are one of the few instances where I think there is almost a 0% chance that this channel will ever get more than a few hundred views on a video. Let me explain why and how we can fix it. So, the days of Let's Plays are gone. People don't watch Let's Plays nearly as much as they used to, and when they do, they watch creators that have been making content for 10 years. We think of people like Markiplier and Northern Lion, people who have been making content for a decade plus, and they've had a decade to hone their skills and become one of the most entertaining and interesting and funny people on the planet. I'm willing to bet right now, just statistically speaking, you are not one of the most interesting and funny people on the planet, Phoenix Gaming. That's unfortunate, but it's the harsh reality of the situation. But that doesn't mean you can't win on YouTube. Right now, you have your channel's brand new, and you're probably very new to content creation. So I'm not putting you down in any way. I made over 200 Let's Plays before I ever had any success on YouTube. 200 videos, posting daily, sometimes more, in a single day, sometimes posting 2 or 3 uploads in a day, seeing no more than 1,000 views on a single video. So I know what it's like to be here, and I'll tell you how you can fix it. First and foremost, you do need to come to terms with the fact that this will not work. If it was working, I would tell you to keep doing it, but it's not, obviously, and it will not change. No amount of uploading more Let's Plays, refining your ability to make Let's Plays is really going to see any success. You're not going to get any success this way. Now, if you want, there is one caveat to that. If you want to spend the next 10 years of your life dedicating to Let's Plays and honing your craft and your ability to come up with witty and interesting and funny things to say off the top of your head, and do that for 10 years, you might eventually become legitimately, I'm not joking when I say this, one of the funniest people on the planet, or one of the most entertaining. That's what it would require to succeed with Let's Plays right now. So I'm going to heavily advise that we shift away from this. And the reason why this will never work, let me explain the why behind this idea here. There is nothing about this channel or what you're doing here that separates you from the thousands, hundreds of thousands even possibly, of other people uploading the exact same type of content. The one thing that separates you from them is your personality. And that's why I say you have to become literally one of the most entertaining or funny people on the planet. And it's a losing battle. Why fight that battle whenever you could still make gaming content and win, just like this channel that I partially own here. I started this with a friend. You can see our very first video on the channel, 256,000 views, because we're not doing Let's Plays. We're still in the gaming niche. We're still talking about gaming, but we have a unique value proposition. And this channel severely lacks it because you're just uploading the same, truthfully, pretty lazy content that everyone else is. Okay, so we've gotten the big hurdle out of the way, right? This will not work. We need to do something different. Before we figure out what you could do differently, let's talk about your branding, your channel name, your icon, your logo, your banner, all of that. Because that's still important. And there's some good stuff here. It's not all bad. You know, you're a newer creator, but you've done some things right here. So you have Phoenix Gaming, got a pretty cool logo. It kind of reminds me of Pokemon in a way. I like it. It's cool. You say in your About section, "Hello everyone, this is Phoenix Gaming, or Phoenix from Phoenix Gaming, a gaming channel focused on entertaining story-driven gameplay. Turning this channel into a profession is my ultimate long-term goal." That's awesome, dude. More power to you. I want to encourage you in that truly. I think you can do it. Anyone can do it. You're just going to have to put in a lot of work. I did it. It took me about 2 years to go full-time roughly, but I did it. And I think you can do it too. And you can do it through gaming. You can even do it through just Skyrim, because it seems like right now that's what you want to be posting and talking about. I believe in you 100%. Your about section is good. It tells me exactly what I'm going to get. Entertaining, story-driven gameplay. Now, the content, unfortunately, is not delivering that, and not delivering that in a unique enough way, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's continue to talk about your branding. You have these chapters here. So if you... I don't want to encourage you to keep doing Let's Plays, but let's say that you were going to do Let's Plays. So we're going to look at these people as examples of how to title your videos and how to actually put together your titles and thumbnails here. You see you have Skyrim Book 2, Chapter 12, Shimmer Mist. This doesn't tell me anything about what I can expect from this video, unfortunately. And no one wants to come into a series on Chapter 12. Why would you ever start a book on Chapter 12? You wouldn't. So really, you want to avoid putting these chapters, these numbers on your thumbnails. You don't want to indicate in any way that this is a part of a series. And you should open every video with an explanation of what you've done up until that point. If you were to continue to do Let's Plays, which I will still, I'm going to give you tips on that because that's what your channel is right now. But I really want to provide you an alternative way to see success, because even if you do everything I'm about to tell you about how to optimize a Let's Play, I still think you have a almost 0% chance of ever succeeding this way. You want to remove the chapters. Should be no indication of the idea here that this is a part of a Let's Play series. We're cutting out the chapter number. We're not doing the book thing. You need to give me a reason to click. You need to make it interesting in a way that it is clear from the get-go. I need more than just, this is random guy I don't know or care about, their Let's Play number 57. That is not intriguing to anybody. Nobody cares about that. Nobody knows who you are. They don't care about watching you play a game. Unfortunately, that's just the reality. You need to do more clever titling. You can see here with Northern Lion, and even Northern Lion I don't think is a great example because, again, he's been doing this for 10 years, so he can get away with a lot of things that you won't, and he puts out a unimaginable, crazy amount of content that's just clipped the live streams, right? And he's truly one of the most entertaining people on the planet. So I wouldn't necessarily look to him as a great example, but this is a little bit closer of what you have to do here. You need to be thinking about, how can I title this in a more interesting way that would actually get someone to click? Back to your branding. Overall, the banner here is not great. I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure this is an AI image. People generally still have pretty sour opinions on AI. I love AI. But I would not use it as banner art. I wouldn't use it in your thumbnails unless it's very strategic. I will show you what I mean by very strategic. Okay, this is one of my channels. This background here is AI, and these hands holding this chocolate bar are like partially AI, but I've done a lot of work in Photoshop, in my photo editor of choice, to get this to look different, to not look like an AI image necessarily. So I would avoid doing this entirely, and truthfully, you're probably going to have to rethink your branding a little bit here because you need to move away from Let's Plays. We'll go ahead and look at your homepage. I mean, For You, videos, playlist, great. That looks good. It's nice and clean, simple. You have the playlist, which is nice. If someone did want to binge watch your Let's Plays, they would be able to, so I'm glad you've thought about that. Let's go ahead and look at your consistency of how often are you posting. What type of content are you posting? Do you have anything beyond a Let's Play? So you are posting relatively consistently. You're doing Let's Plays here. I haven't watched any of these videos yet, but I'm going to assume they're fairly low effort. And even if you're cutting down 4 hours of content into 30 minutes, if you wanted to do Let's Plays, this is not enough volume. You need to be pumping out at least a video every day, probably multiple ones. But again, I would not recommend doing that. No amount of pumping them out is really going to change the fact that they're not going to get more than 500 views or so. And if you don't believe me, truthfully, I don't think I was like a super entertaining person, but I did my best. I brought a lot of energy to these, and you can see here. I mean, look at the consistency here. I was putting out a crazy amount of content, and you can see these videos never got any views, really. No matter how many I put out, no matter how long I did it, this would have never changed. YouTube just does not work this way anymore. And you can't make a living off of this number of views. I never even got monetized on this channel. For like 1 million views, you're looking at at most like $4,000, $4,500, which is not no money, but can you imagine trying to get 1 million views on a channel like this where I'm uploading so consistently every single day, hours of my life, pouring my heart and soul into this content, only to get like 500 views, 1,000 views at most? I would need to put out so much content so consistently to barely even make $1,000 to get 100,000 views. It's just not possible. It just will not work. Hopefully I've beat that point into you that this will not work and you have to change something. You have to do something different. So let's go ahead and look at your actual video now. But real quick, before we do, if you've made it this far into the video and you want me to look at your channel too, go ahead and comment Dragon Fruit below and I'll pick one of the channels in the comments for a future review. If you want to guarantee I review your channel, you can book an audit with me through the link in the description. Or if you'd rather audit your channel yourself, I have a complete, very, 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 very extensive guide. This thing is 42 pages. And it will take you through way more than I'll cover in this sample audit here. So if you're interested in both of those, go ahead and check the description for that link. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at your actual content now. Just look at your newest video. I'm going to assume roughly all of these are the same. Oh, that's not the newest one. My bad. Here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there we go.
We started this morning by selling most of the loot we gathered over the last couple of days for a good bit of gold. Unfortunately, it started raining just before heading out, making for a horrible hike to the remnants of Ragnvald. After taking care of a couple Draugr outside, we pushed inside the ruins. The dead seemed to be more inactive than usual in the first areas of the dungeon until we traveled closer to the main chamber, where we took down several more Draugr. We found a strange sarcophagus in the main chamber that was locked by two strange...
Yeah, I'm skipping because I can see from your what we call this, your chapters here, that you have like this beginning section. So I'm skipping ahead to check out this next part before I give you my feedback on this.
Go to that Shermist cave. Guess we're going up against some Falmer. Supposedly.
Okay, so it's devolved into a normal Let's Play from here. Let's go ahead and talk about what you did in the beginning, because I do appreciate the effort you put in here. I appreciate the idea. I think it's interesting. It's cool. I can't tell if this is necessarily a recap of what we've done up until this point. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's more of a recap of maybe some stuff you did before you get into the actual Let's Play. But I can appreciate the idea here of you're trying to tell a story in an interesting way through this journal, but it's just not enough. However, I think you can definitely take those skills that you're trying to implement here and do something really spectacular that will let you succeed on YouTube. You're going to need to rethink your entire content strategy here. And before we finally get into that, I'll talk about your audio quality and the visuals. I mean, it's gameplay. It looks nice. There's almost no editing here, so there's nothing really to comment on there. Your audio sounds fine. I think you're doing kind of a weird gravelly thing with your voice, like you're talking really low so that it kind of sounds like this. I don't think you need to do that. I think you could just be yourself and maybe sound enthused about what you're doing, and instead of going for this sort of like, you're like kind of like playing a character trying to tell your story here. But when you make different content, I don't think you should do that anymore. I think you should instead use your normal voice, be yourself, be true to who you are, and make something fantastic. So how can you make something fantastic? What can we do here to turn this channel around and actually make some content that people want to enjoy? You're going to need to pick something like challenges or informational content, something like that will give people a reason to watch your video. So right now, there's no reason anybody should watch your video. It's a standard Let's Play. I can go watch my favorite creator who's been making content for 10 years and is truly one of the funniest people on the planet play Skyrim if I want to. I don't need to watch Phoenix Gaming do that. So what do I need to watch Phoenix Gaming do? And that's what you'll have to figure out. You could do something like we do on this channel. These are not gameplay videos. What they are essentially is, I would call it info content, is how you'll be it referred to. We go and we research the game and interesting topics about it, and we put it into a nice, neat little package that you can watch. So The unwritten rules of Elden Ring is just, what are some common ideas that the player base has around Elden Ring? And, what are those unwritten rules that we have for the game as a community that we don't talk about necessarily? We put it into a nice, fun, enjoyable video. So you could do the unwritten rules of Skyrim and make very similar content, and it would do well. And the reason that it would do well is because there's a reason to watch the content that doesn't have anything to do with who I am, who the person who makes these videos with, like who I make them with. Like there's no reason you need to know who we are or even really care about who we are to watch them. There's a very clear pull here of you'll get to see cut content about Elden Ring that you never got to see. And that's why it's successful. It's because there's a reason to watch beyond who I am and what I bring to the table. Now, there's personality in these videos. I'm not the one who does the voiceovers. So there is personality. It's not my personality, it's someone else's, but they have personality in these videos. They make jokes that are true to themselves. They make edits and things and choose music and stuff that they like. And there's still personality. They still get to be who they are, but they've created content that has a reason for it to be watched beyond just, I'm funny, you should watch me play a video game for 35 minutes. So that's one example, right? You could do speed runs of Skyrim and try and speed run different challenges. So you could say how fast, or I speed ran getting arrested 100 times in Skyrim. Do you see how already there's a reason to watch that video that doesn't have anything to do with who you are? Now, you could still do so much there to express yourself and bring personality and do all sorts of funny gags and jokes, and even your journal thing. You could be real serious if you wanted to. You could be incredibly serious about trying to speed run an aspect of Skyrim, and that would work still, but you have to think of something else that's not a Let's Play. I need you to think beyond that and to think of making content. What's a premise for a video? I want you to go and I want you to think, what's the best possible video I could make around this topic? So if we're going to choose Skyrim, right? Open your mind completely, no matter how crazy it is, and think, what's the craziest, best piece of content I can make? What's the best idea I can come up with? And I want you to go and write down 100 ideas, right? Of maybe it's speedrunning Skyrim, maybe it's speedrunning getting 10,000 pieces of cheese, maybe it's can I beat Skyrim one-handed? Can I beat Skyrim with only a stick? I don't know. There's a million things you could do. Think challenges, think information. Maybe I could talk about what's the scariest monster in Skyrim, or I turned Skyrim into a horror game and you put a bunch of mods on it to make it really scary. But you need to come up with a premise for a video that's interesting, an idea for a video that you can package well, and then you're going to need to work on your titles and thumbnails. Again, 28 videos over the course of 5 months. You're a very new creator, so you're going to have to learn how to do this. There's a lot to learn there, and I'm happy to send me an email, shoot me a message on Reddit or whatever. This is where this review came from. If you want more help with that, feel free to ask me. But you have to start thinking that way, because this will not get you where you want to go, unfortunately. Like I said, there's almost a 0% chance that this makes you a full-time content creator. If you really want to be a full-time content creator and you want to do it through gaming, there are a lot of ways you can do it. But I want you to start looking at other successful people who are not doing Let's Plays, people who started recently and have success. Because if you wanted to do Let's Plays, unfortunately, you just need to start 10 years ago. I will give you one last piece of, if you really wanted to get good at Let's Plays and you wanted to be successful doing this, again, I do not recommend it. I do not think it'll work. But if you really are sold, you're just 100% sold on this idea, you need to go to improv classes and you need to go to acting classes, and you need to just hone in on becoming the most entertaining person possible, okay? That's what you'd have to do, because that's the only reason people are going to click on one of these videos and keep watching. Because if I click on this, by some chance, even though, no offense, this is not a very good title and thumbnail, there's no reason to click, but let's say I did, you have like 5 seconds to sell me on the idea that you are so unbelievably entertaining that I should keep watching you. So if you're really sold on that idea, you need to go to improv classes and acting classes and really work on being one of the most entertaining people possible. And yeah, I wish you luck. Like I said, if you have anything more that you'd like to discuss about this, want some more advice, feel free to email me or message me. But seriously, I beg you to reconsider the type of content that you're doing and try and think about what's the best possible video you can make. All right, that's going to do it for this one. We've done a pretty thorough look at Phoenix Gaming today. We went over how they really have to change their niche and come up with a unique selling point. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully this gives you a solid start. However, if you want to go into a more full in-depth review of your channel, again, that complete self-audit toolkit is in the description. It goes over things like monetization strategies, competitor analysis, content planning systems so that you can make sure you always have a steady flow of content. It's incredibly comprehensive. It's 42 pages. But if you'd rather me look at your channel, you can book a personal exhaustive audit. We'll go through this whole thing over your channel and I'll give you a full detailed report and action plan. You can learn more about both of those things in the link in the description. Thank you so much, and I truly hope this was helpful.